Welcome back to I don't even know where the heck I'm at, Coach.
A-Town. We're in A-Town.
Avon High School, A-Town, getting ready to play. It's a Great Western Shootout. It's game number 7. But we got the winning coach from game number 6, Coach Vass. And, Coach, that was kind of a weird game in the first half, I felt like. But you guys came out and looked kind of like a different team in the second half. You really controlled the tempo, the offense, the pressure. It seemed like everything was yours.
So I always give them 3 keys to victory, and the first one was match their intensity and physicality, control the tempo with your defense, and then rebound the basketball. Don't give them second, third chances, and I felt like we did all of those things. Even in the first half, Bull hits the 3 right at the buzzer, basically. We'd only given them 15 points in the first half. That's 30 for the game, which is exactly our defensive average. They ended up with 41 for the game, which is not bad, and we hit 56, which is exactly our offensive average. So I felt like we came out and we, for the most part, not 32 minutes, nobody plays a perfect basketball game, but for probably 28 minutes, we executed and did the things that we needed to do to beat a team like Rock Ridge. And don't kid yourself, their ranking, they've earned it. They have a very nice team. We know that from last year.
Well, the thing I noticed, of course, we've seen you a lot this year with the Spartan Tip-Off Classic. We'll see you a lot in a couple of weeks. Well, for your sake, I hope it's a lot in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But the physicality that your guys played with and against today, you've stepped that ability to play with that physicality. That's one of the things you wanted to work on at the Spartan Tip-Off Classic, and it looks like you've gotten there now.
I told you that. One of the problems we had is football school, West Hancock, football school, big time. Macomb, we didn't handle physicality well. We ended up doing it last year, so it was just a matter of just getting back into that mindset. And with the exception of, and we played a very physical team in Winfield Mount Union over in Iowa, but over there they called everything, and we handled it, but that was a little oddball game. But besides that one, we've gotten to where we can step up, we can play physical without committing a lot of fouls. I mean, Hank Calvey only commits 2 fouls a game on average, and tonight, let's see what he had.
One.
Yeah.
Just one. So
yeah.
You guys didn't have anybody with more than 2 fouls tonight, according to my stat sheet.
No, that's what I see. When we told them, we said, first of all, the big boys are here to play. The official, and this is a big venue. This is going to be more like a sectional, which, by the way, is going to be held here, which we called. I hope we're in it. But we said, people didn't come to watch them blow the whistle. They're going to let you play. So, again, that's why my number one key was we got to meet their intensity and their physicality.
We talk about Alvey a lot, but a couple players, especially in the second half, that really were keys for you guys. Josh Vaughn came off the bench.
Yeah.
I don't think he played in the first half, but he came off the bench in the second half and hit a triple that really sparked you guys. And then Toby Cooper said, hey, I can do that too. He ended up with 3 1/4. Vaughn ended up with 2 in the third quarter.
Yep.
And it felt like Josh Vaughn, that shot that he made was the spark.
So Toby Cooper ended up 18 points. He had 4 threes, 3 of those in the third quarter. And Josh Vaughn had 3 for the second half, 2 of those. Josh Vaughn is a tremendous shooter. Now, Josh, as some of your listeners may know, signed a scholarship offer from Bradley to pitch. He's a great pitcher. Well, he's got a flamethrower over an arm, and when he gets on, as a sophomore one time, he hit 10 in a game. Last year, due to some health issues and other stuff, he only played about half season, so he's kind of starting to get back into it, but it was part of our game plan all along. We said if they sag, because they've been sagging off of, people have been sagging off of Jaden Washington, we said we're going to put him in there and take our chances, and Josh responded.
And they did sag off Jaden a lot today, didn't they?
Yes, they did, which people do, and to their own peril some nights, other nights it works out.
We're getting ready for the A-Town Tornadoes and Payson-Seymour Indians. We're going to do the national anthem, so we'll play that. Actually, I'm going to take a break because they play this, and it'll probably hit on YouTube. So we'll be back in just a few minutes on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH.
I went through MDH when we were trying to get pregnant. We were struggling the first year, and then when we got pregnant, I stayed at MDH and through labor and now for pediatrics. My experience was nothing short of phenomenal. I was met with amazing staff members who helped me through concerns that I had when she was first born, helping me learn how to be a new mom. It was really reassuring and comforting knowing that I had so much support and kindness around me. My entire pregnancy at MDH was amazing.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there is limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a Leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
I chose physical therapy because I knew I wanted to be in the healthcare field. I wanted to be able to help patients in some way related to more in depth. We get to know our patients, and that's really what kind of sets us apart.
And as they're going to do the fight song for the A-Town Tornadoes, I do believe. Is that what I just heard? It is. So we'll keep it here and keep talking to Coach Vass from Illini Bluffs. And you talked about playing different gyms and playing different teams and stuff like that. You've talked about that every time that I've talked to you pretty much. Bushnell's got a gym you guys can see yourselves playing in postseason occasionally. This is a gym you can see yourself playing in the postseason occasionally.
Lewiston.
Does that help?
Yes.
Does that help a lot as you go through into the postseason?
Yes, our guys were talking about that on the way up here. We said this is a good warm-up for the sectional. If we plan to be in it, we hope we are. This is where it's at. We were in the sectional here a few years ago. Didn't fare so well. Now we play here every year, and the kids at least have an idea.
Well, we're getting ready to do the starting lineups here, I do believe. So we'll let you folks see those, and we'll get back to talking in a second here. You know an Ada Vass?
She's my sister.
She says, say hi to my brother.
She's probably watching and listening. She was a basketball coach herself in the West Prairie, Northwest, the old Northwestern and West Prairie School District. School counselor.
Go A-Town, says Layla. Payson-Seymour's starting lineup getting ready to be announced now. Lane Barker, one of the starters. He's a junior, number 4. Brody Deeker. There's a racing name if you're familiar with Quincy Raceways. That's a name you remember from back then. Wyatt Nyson, number 21. Blake Schwartz, number 23, who I missed on my lineup sheet. He's at the bottom. Nolan Sparks, number 24, the other starter. And in A-Town, 17 people on Payson-Seymour's roster tonight. The Tornadoes starting lineup getting ready to come out now.
First, junior, number 2, Drew Anderson.
Drew Anderson.
Senior, number 3, Kellen Hook.
Kellen Hook, number 3. He's one of the stars for Abington Avon.
Senior, number 5, Carter Redfern.
Carter Redfern, number 5. He's a senior.
Senior, number 13, Drew Fouch.
Drew Fouch, another senior. 24, Asa Stiegel, another senior-laden team for A-Town here, and been a very good basketball team. They've given West Hancock and some other teams a little bit of trouble here in the season, so they've got a lot going on. But let's get back to what you guys have been able to do, Coach, as we get ready to go with the tip here. As you play through these games, and you had this shootout today, you had the Spartan Tip-Off Classic, and then you got the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament coming up. That's one of the and there's going to be a technical foul shot right at the beginning of the game, and it's number 5, Carter Redfern, shooting 2 free throws. A technical, I'm not real sure what it was for. Must have been touching the rim would be my guess.
Or did you say you had a guy maybe wasn't on the roster?
No, I had it out of order.
Okay.
He made one. It could have been something along those lines, but I don't.
It does happen from time to time, especially switching uniforms.
Usually
home team on the road.
Usually you don't see that though, right? Until they are wearing their whites, aren't they? So that is true. But I was going to say usually you don't see that until somebody checks in a little later. But there's a double team by Payson-Seymour right off the bat. Have you seen either one of these teams yet this year, Coach?
No. Payson's quite a ways out of our area, and then A-Town we just haven't crossed paths with. And we don't have them on our regular schedule. Last year we played them here and we would have seen them, but not this year.
So it's going to be A-Town with the basketball. 7:30 to go here in the first quarter. It's 1-0 after a technical foul free throw shots for Carter Redfern. He hit 1 of 2. We'll see if we can get story on what that was. There's Kellen Hook with it. I've heard good things about Kellen Hook. Comes over to Dre Anderson. Back to Redfern. 3 on the way is
Shot.
good. Dre Anderson hits the triple.
Good looking stroke.
High arching 3 for the Tornadoes, Dre Anderson. So a game like you played against Rock Ridge, a game that people came in, everybody was looking at that game and the one before it as the two key games to this, I think, this shootout.
Scales Mound looked good.
Yes, they did. Did you guys perform the way you wanted to in a game like that with expectations on it like there were?
Yes, I was proud of our effort from our guys. There is a lot of pressure on them. There's a lot of pressure on the Rock Ridge boys being ranked really high. And again, we've had some battles with Rock Ridge over the years. So, yeah, I was proud of the effort, and that's why we came out on top. I think they handled it pretty well.
I gave the free throw to the wrong side earlier, folks. I apologize. There's a 3 on the way off, no good. It's 4-0 A-Town.
Pass.
That's a great pass down low. Asa Stiegel gets the bucket. I keep being impressed by the things Hank Alvey does that isn't scoring. Like, He didn't score a ton of points, but he did a lot of good things today.
Hank is our second leading assist man. He's leading in steals. He leads in block shots. He leads in rebounds. And he's our leading scorer, by the way. But, yeah, this is why Hank had Division I schools after him and why the Lehigh coach, who I visited with yesterday because he came down to watch Hank play, that's why he was recruited, because he does so many things besides score.
Great ball movement and a 3 made by the Indians, number 23, Blake Schwartz. And as a coach, you have to think, there's been, I don't know how many games you've got to watch, but there's been some outstanding ball movement in this tournament. You want to scoot down so you can see a little better?
We're fine. So, yes, there is. And you know what? I hope some of your viewers saw that with our team. We really try to move the basketball. We don't do a lot of dribbling. We do a lot of cutting. We do a lot of passing, screening, cutting off screens. Try to keep it simple. Basic basketball.
Another 3. That was Lane Barker, number 4 for 3. That's 2 threes, since I keep getting the scoreboard messed up. That's Redfern again for 2 more.
This game's going to be high scoring.
If it keeps up like this, it's 10-6, 4:40 to go here in the first quarter. We've had some games like that, though. Is it still early enough in the year to I mean, you guys held Rock Ridge without a field goal until the 7-minute mark of the second quarter. You had they had 4 free throws in the first quarter, but no baskets. That's something you don't see a whole lot, especially out of a team like Rock Ridge.
No, but to be fair to my team, we've done that to a lot of people last year and this year because we play defense. You know, defense is kind of a lost art. Again, I'm old school. And Trey David, my top assistant coach, he is a defensive guru. And Trey and I talk a lot about defense, as well as Joe Waters with the scouting report and Brent Bruniga. And let me tell you what, Trey, I kind of give I think I told you this before, I gave the drivers the keys to the car when it comes to defense to Trey. And he's really worked the kids, and he's got them playing good defense.
Looks like Lucas Davenport's going to pick up the foul, his first, team's first of the first quarter for the Indians. Redfern's going to shoot a couple more free throws. He's 1 for 2 after hitting the first of 2 technical free throws. He hits the first one in this pair as well. Coach, if you got a few minutes to stay, you're welcome to. If you need to go, you can go.
Fine.
Don't feel like you have to stay. 4:11 to go in the first quarter. Redfern hit the first, missed the second again, just like his last trip to the free throw line. Let's talk about Toby Cooper a little more. I remember a couple years ago when you came to the Spartan Tip-Off Classic and I got to see you guys play. He was like a spark plug off the bench kind. He kind of showed you some points, and it looked like he was going to be a good player for you.
Yeah, he was a freshman. Devin White got hurt in the very first game, and Toby stepped right in and played like he'd been a starter forever, even though he was a freshman.
Is he bloomed into the player you wanted, or blossomed into the player you wanted him to be?
Yeah, well, let's call it a bloom because he hasn't blossomed yet, I don't think.
Another 3. That's by Schwartz again. That's his second 3.
He and Devin White are both just juniors, and I'm telling you, they're still got a lot of upside to their game. Toby especially.
Now, next year when you lose Alvey, people are going to be, well, you know, they're not going to be as good or whatever. There's a basket by Asa Stiegel. Southeastern's shown when they lost Stevens, everybody thought they weren't going to be very good. They've been a very good team this year. They haven't won a ton of games, but they've been in almost every game. you guys still have some quality players coming back next year, don't you?
We will have 3 of our starting 5 back. You know, we had 4 back this year. We'll have 3 back next year. Yeah, sure. There's not a Hank Alvey out there, but when you have a good program and the kids work hard, you find ways to win, and we'll find ways to win. Mark my words.
Lane Parker gets the bucket. He's got 5 on the reverse layup. Now a 3 on the way. It's good by Dre Anderson. His second 3.
They must have the Expando rims opened up tonight because the 3s are going in for us and they're going in for A-Town.
Well, there's 3 threes for Payson-Seymour.
Payson, yeah.
There's a layup off, no good. Rebound to Drew Fouch. First time we got to call his name tonight. 2:17 remaining in the first quarter. That's tipped away from behind, and it's a 16-15 or 16-11 game. Here, a 3 on the way. Schwartz hits a 3rd one of the quarter. He's got 9.
I know why our guys like to shoot in this gym because it's a bright gym like IB's gym is. Light floor and good lighting, and you know you can really see the rim well, and because it's got a good background, and yeah, probably the same for other teams.
So Anderson's going to set the offense up for A-Town at 16-14, and if it keeps at this pace, this will be the highest scoring game of the day. Anderson 3 again. Did he hit it? He did. Nothing but the bottom of the net. And Anderson's got his 3rd 3. You don't see 3 threes from a single player in a quarter that often. You've got a player on each team with 3 threes in this quarter.
Yeah, that's amazing. They're stepping up and shooting the ball, so I'm going to have to put a little more ball pressure on the passers to keep them from getting open to begin with, and then they're going to have to reach those shooters. There's no doubt about it. Make them put it on the deck and see what they can do there. At least it's only 2 points if they do score.
We've seen some teams today expand zones trying to take that 3-point shot away. Some people switch to man to try to take 3-point shots away. I'm sure there's a different mindset for each reason. Why is it just personnel is the reason why you pick?
Personnel, but then there's also things if you match up in a zone, it's pretty darn tough. It can be as tougher than a man-to-man. And you can reach certain shooters and keep them from scoring. The advantage of man is that you decide exactly who you're going to be. So say number 3's hot, I put Devin on him or I put Jaden on him, and that's who's going to stop him. If he's hot against one of our zones, we got to make sure everybody communicate. We got to bump people. We got to reach him. We got to know where he's at, and we got to force him to give the ball up into somebody inside or the other side where we think we can defend.
Communication's important in everything, but in zone, communication's even more important, isn't it?
Yes,
because
it is.
You have to know where people are, not only where area you're supposed to guard.
Listen, I've always been a coach that's played multiple defenses. Learned that from my college coach Terry Glasgow at Monmouth College, and zones are tougher to play than man.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Schwartz hits his
fire.
4th 3.
Shooting's contagious. I tell my guys that all the time.
I thought Anderson was going to try to answer Stiegel.
I did too.
And he's bounced it on the baseline out of bounds.
That's the only thing that could stop him right now is a turnover.
Yeah, it's 19-17. We still got 1:18 to go here in the first quarter. And it is – they finally did put the foul up for the Indians, the technical foul. They didn't put that up earlier, but they did put it up now. And now the Indians a chance to tie or take the lead. Out to that's not Schwartz, but a 3 on the way anyway, and it's good. That is Nolan Sparks. He hits his first 3.
There's going to be 150 points combined scored in this game. I'm not exaggerating.
They keep shooting like this is going to be in there. It's 20-19. First lead of the game for the Indians.
Looks like some of my AC Central teams I had back in the late 80s and early 90s, we scored 80 points a game.
And they throw that away. It'll be Indians basketball. 1:17 to go in the first quarter. So as you've worked through the season here this year and you've seen some teams, you guys had the preseason number 1 for whatever that's worth. But right. I think I saw you were number 3 ranked team right now.
Yeah.
Are you – is it kind of shaken out the way you expected coming into the season?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know who ever gave us a number 1 seed at the beginning of the year other than, where we finished and we lost to Jabot on a heartbreaker and they won it. And that's what I voted in some polls back in the day. And that's just what it was. I told the guys, I said, we're a top 5 team. We're not number 1. And you're going to find out the pressure that comes with that. Everybody wants to be on top, but it's hard to get on top and it's harder to stay on top.
Wyatt Nyson's going to pick up the foul, his first.
And when you play quality opponents like Macomb and West Hancock and so on early in the season, you're going to get knocked off sooner or later. And I told them that last summer. It's going to happen. And it's how we handle it that matters. And we've handled it pretty well. That's what I'm pleased about today.
Some of that for every team, right, is it's losing a game isn't bad if you're pushing yourself to get better in that game, right?
If you will learn from them, I told them that week, I'll take another loss or two if it's going to help us win at the end of the season. Because you win a close game, quite frankly, you think, hey, super me, power me, I'm great. You lose it, like we lost a couple of them, it slaps you right in the face, and you got to look in the mirror and say, boys, we got to change some things.
Which game at the Spartan Tip-Off Classic was harder for you as a coach? Was it the West Hancock game?
West Hancock for sure, because we had the lead and we blew it. And I watched that game, in fact, last night, again, thinking, we get a lead in this one. We don't want to blow it. We gave them 11. They had an 11-0 run on us. We're up 43-23, and they had an 11-0 run, and it was all on us. I thought he was going to hit him.
That's the end of the first quarter, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have laughed, but I can't read my own writing here. I think it's Marth. We'll have to look and make sure I'm right before I say that. Jordan Martin got a pass right there, and he was expecting a shot.
Yeah.
And you see it occasionally, a guy will turn around when they go up to you think somebody's shooting, he'll turn around and they'll pass it to him instead. And everybody yells at me, you're supposed to watch until the ball is on the rim or going, it's going there. You just get used to certain people shooting.
Sure.
And it's hard to not look at a rebound attempt. How do you tell your kids to be able to distinguish which is going to happen there?
Well, you've just got to continue to keep an eye on the ball. The ball is the key. It's basketball. You know where the basket is, and you got to always keep your eye on the ball because you can feel for other things. You can feel pressure from opponents. But you've got to keep your eye on the basketball. And we've got some guys that do a really good job. Devin White is very good at that. That's why he gets a lot of loose balls. He gets a lot of tip-ins because and the other thing, anticipate a miss. The greatest players in the world miss over half their shots. You got to anticipate a miss. Don't think, well, for example, when Josh got hot or Toby got hot, you can't just start cruising down. We're not Steph Curry. We can't just turn and run. You got to anticipate a miss, and you got to go after every ball.
I've seen several teams now that don't even put anybody at the line for free throw rebounding. That seems to be a more common thing. What's the thought process? Is there a thought process behind that?
I think what it is just try and keep them from picking up cheap fouls because you're at a disadvantage. It's 4-2 there, but again, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag to who might be listening, but we've got some counters to that. And if you've watched us play, we get some offensive tip-ins and putbacks on missed free throws. So we do it. But some people, that's the thought process, I believe. I don't know. It's not my style. But I've talked with you many times. But
things aren't necessarily your style, but you still have to play them, right? Or play against them, I should say.
I've been doing this 40 years, so there's a lot of things that aren't my style by today's standards.
A-Town trailing by 1 here. Coach Vass doing a little talking basketball with us as there's Kellen Hook on a little bit of a fadeaway.
There's in his zone.
When people are shooting like they're shooting here, you can't – you're feeling it, but you can't take bad shots, right? You got to make sure, even though you're feeling it, those shots are good shots that you're taking.
Yeah, and they're getting good looks and they're hitting them. From the other side, you got to, don't let them get the ball, or you've got to have so much pressure on them, they've got to put it on the deck. And, again, take your chances. Maybe they can beat you to the back. I had a kid, Jeremy Garner, that scored 50 points one time, only hit a couple of threes, and he was a three-point shooter. But
a rebound and a putback by number 14,
he was able to put it on the deck. Well, you got to find out if they can or not.
It looks like A-Town has really extended. Their man is much more, ball denial or in-your-face kind of man than it had been in the first quarter. And there's a difference. You can sag man or you can kind of be ball denial, right? And the difference being is if you think you're on a shooter especially, right, you need to be on them and up in their face all the time, right?
You can't go behind screens. You got to get over the top of them. You got to hedge a little bit and buy your guys some time to get over the top. And that's what we do. And again, that's kind of a lost art.
Looks like both teams are trying to do that here in the second quarter. They're fighting through and over the top of screens.
Because they had a quarter break and their coaches explained to them the things they practice every day they forget to do when they come to a game because they're teenagers.
3 on the way off, no good, and it's going to be rebounded up off the floor by Neeson, and back the other way it goes. 5:43 to go in the first half. The scoring is slowed down immensely here in quarter number 2. It was 20-19 at the end of the first quarter. As that ball's picked up off the floor by Jacob Hall and then stolen back. Schwartz, who had 4 threes in the first quarter, didn't take that one. And that's where we talked about
A-Town's closing out better now.
Yeah, and he didn't force it. He could have forced one there, but he didn't. That one's off, no good. It hit the iron behind the rim, and it'll be a dead ball. Possession to A-Town. 5:17 to go in the first half. So when you're defensive-minded, like, you know, you've got a coach that's defensive-minded, you like to play good defense.
Yes.
How do you keep the focus? You still have to focus on offense, right? Or keep the mental focus at least on offense when you're in the game. How do you do that?
Sure, and that's what I'm getting at. Our first week over there at Bushnell, we were so defensive-minded that's what happened. We got stagnant versus West Hancock. We got stagnant versus Macomb because we were so keyed up defensively to stop those two teams because we knew they had offensive weapons. That, yeah, you've just got to play both ends of the floor, and that is the key. And you know, Coach Trey, David, and I took the blame for those 2 losses because we were working the defense so much, and we've just spent a lot more time on both ends and running offense when you're tired by doing some drills where we get them a little worn out, and then we run the offense. And you're going to play hard defense. You got to be able to run offense, but you're going to be tired when you run it.
3 off, no good for Hook.
That's why some guys don't play defense because they don't want to get tired on the offensive end. And it can cost you if you don't drill for it, and we just weren't drilling enough for it.
Schwartz inside the three-point line. It rattles in and out. And Redford with the rebound back the other way. It's still 22-21, and the score didn't pop up. Let me see if it comes up here. It didn't. We'll put it back up. Try to get it to work. There it is. Out of bounds. It'll stay with A-Town. 4:16 to go. It's 22-21. The score here. As a coach, you know, kids have changed. You've been coaching for 40 years. Kids change. Do you have to change your philosophy or your style at all during that, or do you try to adapt the kids to your kind of mentality?
You know what? I don't know. I can't answer that entirely for everyone. But for me, where I was schooled in the basic fundamentals, the John Wooden style, the Bobby Knight style, the Digger Phelps style from my college coach, Terry Glasgow, I know the kids adapt to the style. When I go to a school and apply for a job, I tell them exactly how it's going to be run. And it's little things that have nothing to do with basketball sometimes. Like this morning, you know what? We packed boxes for 3.5 hours this morning, food boxes down at the American Legion. We had a big game. We had a game last night. We had a big game tonight. We could have said, "Oh, sorry, this year we can't do it," but we did. Because those are things that the kids need to do. Their character builder, their team bonding things, and it's just little things like that. Have nothing to do with basketball, but everything to do with basketball.
Dre Anderson picks up the foul there for A-Town, his first, team's first, and I think that's their first foul of the game, actually, at the 3:39 mark of the second quarter. And A-Town has really stepped up the closeout defense here in this second quarter, haven't they? Neither team is getting near as many shots. There's Brody Deeker.
See, put it on the floor and see what happens. Make them put it on the floor.
Nice
Good
rebound
things happen.
by Nicholas Boone there. And
Make them have long possessions. Good things happen.
Foul on Nicholas Boone, his first, team's second.
I felt like one of the things we did with Rock Ridge, we made them have long possessions, and then you start to get antsy. You start to get anxious. You start to maybe settle for a shot.
I know A-Town's in the tournament at Macomb. You guys are in there. Rock Ridge is on there. 3 on the way by Hook, off no good, and big-time block out. Box out. I'll get it out in a minute. And they're going to call a foul down there, and that's probably because you're slapping at the ball, not grabbing at the ball. Looked like to me.
Although nowadays, if you dive on that like it's a fumble in football for some reason, they don't call anything.
Thompson going to pick up the foul. His first, team second.
That's the one that bothers me because that's where people can get hurt on a hardwood. No pads, no helmets.
Right.
In fact, we had one here last year with Brandon Coates.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the official sent me an email a couple days later, said they watched the film, and he said, we missed it. We should have called that. That don't happen very often either.
Did Brandon got hurt in that deal?
Yeah, he
didn't
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a concussion.
Yeah.
Well, a minor one. They kept him out, but I mean he was fine once things got rolling better. But at first, yeah, we thought he had more serious than what it was.
Good ball movement here. I was going to ask you, and we'll talk to you, I'm sure, about this tomorrow at some point. Schwartz for 3 again, off no good. Shot clock. You talked about forcing Rock Ridge into long possessions.
Yes,
exactly. Does a shot clock worry you or affect you any this coming week?
Sir, we've been working on that again from the defensive standpoint. Get them late in the shot clock. Play enough that they have to use 10, 12 seconds of that shot clock so that they don't have time to run what they want to run. We played in Iowa. They have the shot clock over there.
I went over last night and watched New London and West Burlington.
Okay. And so we played Winfield Mountain Union over there. Great team coached by Clay Edwards, and he has 3 boys on that team. Clay Edwards is Iowa State, star, along with Jess Settles that went to Iowa back when he was in high school anyway. Well-coached team, really good shooters, forced them late in the shot clock a lot, and that's what you got to do. To me, it's not an offensive thing, it's a defensive thing.
I saw 2 possessions get to single digits last night in the entire game. 2.
Well, we only had a couple where it buzzed, but we got them late enough they had to hurry their offense.
No, I mean 2. There was never a single buzz of the whole night, and only 2 that got into single digits. 3 for Kellen Hook, and he's got 5 in the quarter, and the Tornadoes.
Did you say West Burlington was one of them?
West Burlington, yeah, and they're really good.
Well, okay, because Cody Van Fleet, Dow City boy like myself, much younger than me, but he coached at Iowa. He's coached with the Southeastern Blackhawks when Joe O'Brien, my college friend, also coached there. He's well-schooled in how to use a shot clock, so he probably didn't have any violations.
No, well, I'll tell you what, West Burlington is really pretty darn good. They don't spend a whole lot of time. They go down and get their shot and take their shot and make a lot of them.
I'm sure they play a collegiate style because, again, that's Cody's background for years. We're not talking a couple of years. He did that for a long time.
Kellen Hook gets another bucket, and it's 28-22 now after the made basket by Hook with 45 seconds to go here in the second quarter.
I'll go on record in saying that West Burlington will become a very, very good program under Cody Van Fleet.
Schwartz backs out. That's a girl I'm dating works at West Burlington, and getting some people saying we need to go over there and start covering some of their games.
Well, it'd probably be a lot of fun.
They looked good last night against New London. They were at New London last night. I wanted to get some shot clock video. That's the reason why I went.
Sure.
As I wanted to have some video for some B-roll as we go through tomorrow afternoon to be able to talk about the shot clock. So it's 6 seconds left. 5. Oh, nice ball movement without the basketball. And a bucket for number 13. That is Landon Gooding. He's a freshman. And he gets his 2. It's 28-24. And you talk about drastic quarter differences here. If you're not in a hurry, I'll just talk to you through halftime.
No, that's fine.
As you talk about drastic quarter differences here, they scored just 4 points in the second quarter, did Payson-Seymour. 5 threes, 6 threes in the first quarter, none in the second quarter. And I think in large part, you being a defensive coach would probably agree that's because of the defensive change and covering the
For
three.
For sure. It totally changed. Both teams started closing out better. They quit getting those good open looks, and that causes you, again, we saw people, they had to start to put the ball on the floor. Good things happen when you can cause people to not be able to get the look they want and force them to take a different tactic. Sometimes that doesn't work out for you. Maybe, like for us, we like to put it on the floor and beat you, pinch and kick, or like we saw tonight, we're, hitting Toby, hitting Josh. You were talking about Hank Alvey. Again, not to give it all away. I mean, I guess, like some coaches have said, you still got to beat it, so I guess I'll say it. But Hank draws a double team. We're looking to find the guy that doubled onto him and have that guy have his feet set and ready to hit the shot. And that's what happened with Josh. That's what happened with Toby. In fact, I was over there barking at Toby, take it, and he's like, he's got 2 guys on him. I said, yeah, but Josh doesn't have anybody on him because the second guy came from Josh.
Right.
And they called a timeout. I was trying to say it to him in his ear while he was on the court. We had a timeout. I was able to tell him directly. Then he got it. Then he understood.
And that's one of the reasons Alvey's game is such a broad game, and he's going to Lehigh to play college basketball, Division I level. And the reason why he's leading your team in assists is he gets the ball, and sometimes he work. You can see him; he's really on the post. He really works to get his shot.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's 6 feet from the basket or more, he first reacts to, you can tell he judges and feels what's guarding him, right?
Right.
And he understands, well, if this guy came from this way, I know somebody's got to be there open, right?
And again, that's what we drill on. That's what we work on. I told Hank when he was a 7th and 8th grader in middle school, I had him in class, and I said to him, what's going to make you a great player is your ability to pass, your ability to see the floor. He's a very intelligent young man. I'm talking a guy, almost perfect ACT, straight A student. That's, again, why he's going to Lehigh, why he was being recruited by Penn and some Ivy League schools. He's intelligent as well as athletic. And so we tell him what he needs to do, and he figures it out. And he can tell when he's one-on-one, he can take anybody at our level in the state. We lost to Normal Community this summer on a last-second tip-in. He was fine with him. We lost to Richwoods by a couple of baskets. He was fine with that. They didn't double-team him. These smaller schools, they realize, hey, we got a double-team or we don't have a chance. That's where Hank's ability to pass and find people, and then you got to hit shots. There's nights that, again, Macomb, those shots don't go in for us, and we lose. But tonight, Toby's hitting. Josh is back. He's hitting. Jaden Washington has been the guy that stepped up and hit in a few games, like Princeville the other night. Hank will find you. If you can put it in the hole, we're still going to get our points.
So you look at as I look at some stats here in this game, A-Town, people maybe were not sure how good A-Town was going to be. The people in town here in Abington talked about this team was going to be pretty good. 9, 8, 7, their top 3 scorers, Anderson, Hook, and Redfern.
It's pretty even.
Those times of teams I would think are as hard or harder to guard than a team that has just one player that's only one player that scores, right?
For sure. One of the best teams I ever had was down at AC Central back about 91, 92. We had 6 guys in double figures. The lowest one was barely 10, and the highest one was barely 12. But there was 6 of them.
Right.
And last year we had, 3 guys in double figures. This year we're just under that. Hank's scorings went up a little bit, and a couple others just haven't gotten theirs. Although, again, we have so many guys that are capable of 20 points. Toby had his 18 tonight. Josh come in with 9. Josh had 10 the other night in the game and got sick at halftime and went home. So, if you can get a balance, and it doesn't have to be double figures. Everybody, sells newspapers, but 8, 9 points a game. A bunch got like last year, and we had Wyatt was 8.5, and somebody else, I think Devin was like 9.6, and then we did have, 11 or 12 out of Brandon Coates, and we had 14 out of Hank or whatever. That's tough to stop.
You look at these teams like this, and like Southeastern comes to mind. We saw them earlier today. They'll be at the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament too. And we talked a little bit about losing Stevens. Some people thought they wouldn't be very good. I saw last year when I saw Stevens play that it seemed like that they just ran absolutely everything through him,
right,
and wouldn't let anybody else do much.
And that can happen sometimes.
And it seemed like that held them back in some ways. And now when he's gone, and you got pretty much the same kids there playing this year, and they're working as a team and scoring across the board a little bit, and they're still having success. Do you ever look back at any teams you've had and said, well, maybe I put too much on that player, maybe I should have let Frank and Bill and Joe do a little more? Is that something that happens as a coach?
I don't know that that's happened, because with the exception of Jeremy Garner at AC Central and Taylor Bruniga at IB here a few years ago, I've always had very, very balanced scoring. But even those guys, we still had other guys in double figures. I mean, Taylor was 36 points a game, led the entire state of Illinois, all classes in scoring. Tremendous score, obviously, went on to Illinois State. But we had 2 other guys in double figures and a couple more that were close. We just averaged a lot of points. The Garner kid that played for me down at AC Central led the entire state in three-point shooting. Had 261 of them as a career, had 100 as a junior, had 101 made ones as a senior. But Tommy Carlock was 18 points. And we had, the Artheloni twins and the oldest Artheloni boy, Brent Artheloni, double figure. I mean, we scored 88 points a game. So I've always had balanced scoring, even when I had some big scores. So, I don't know that I can look back and say, boy, we put the ball in somebody's hands too much. Maybe a game here or there where that just happens. But my teams, for the most part, have had, like we saw tonight, Toby Cooper at 6 points a game suddenly has 18 because he's capable of it. Josh Vaughn, who's probably averaging 3 points a game or 4 maybe, between illness and sickness and things where he hasn't played as much, comes in and gets 9. Like I said, followed up the other night where he had 10. So, yeah, we've always been blessed with guys that can step up and score. Maybe their averages aren't as high, but any given night they can do it.
Well, I don't recall, and maybe I'm not claiming to be a basketball aficionado like some people, but I don't recall teams that have one player and depend completely on one player at the high school level really dominating and getting, like, they might get into the postseason, but they don't get all the way, because at some point you find that team that can do something to slow them down, and then if you don't have anything else, you're in trouble.
So when Taylor Brunig at 36 points a game gets held to like 20, but Cam Scott had 30 that night, you know what I mean? That's what we've been blessed to have. I guess the closest I can think of is back when I was a kid, Lawrenceville, Jay Scheidler, who just, nobody could stop him, and it didn't matter, and Marty Simmons and some other of those guys from that era at that school that played for Coach. They were pretty dominant, but again, I'll bet you if we looked it up, there was a lot of guys with 6-8 points that any given night had 18, had 20, when the Scheidler or Simmons had 12.
Right.
It happens.
And that's basketball is kind of a funny sport. They talk about a football bouncing funny because it's oblong. The bounces you see off of basketball are equally as weird sometimes, aren't they? And I mean, whether you're, and you don't have to be off by a fraction one night and the ball won't go in the hoop.
Well, and a lot of that's apex. It's not necessarily aim. It's the angle of the ball falling through the hoop. I mean, when I was at Monmouth College, in kinesiology, we had to do some things, and I did an entire 40-page study on shooting a free throw and muscles and nerves and all that. But it still comes down to the angle of that ball. That hoop's twice as big as a basketball, but an angle can take that away. I'm not a math person. I was a science person, so I understand it. I can't tell you the calculus on it. But the ball has to fall to a certain angle, and that is probably, the elbow up and the arch you were talking about earlier on a kid that had the high shot.
Yep.
That is probably more important than really the aim, because the hoop's big enough for the ball to go in. You just got to get the apex correct so the ball falls through. And that's, again, we believe it or not, I'm a science teacher. We teach that stuff.
Now, one of the things you mentioned, that the big popular thing now that a lot of schools have is the shooting net, that you shoot over. You have to shoot up over the net and drop it into the hoop. I don't know if you guys have one, but Bushnell has one. Western has one. They see them shooting. You're shooting threes, and you're shooting the ball way up in the air to get it over the top of it.
We have kids that use it individually. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, it's okay.
But I mean, that forces you to have that arch.
It does force you to do that for kids that don't have it.
And that's that's kind of stuff that I think basketball is like anything else. You have to put the time in to be good.
You have to put the time in, and you have to know what it is you're doing. You can't just go out and play. That's the mistake some kids make. They just want to show up and play. Well, you can't do that. Not at the high level. Not if you want to be at the high level.
Yeah, you see athletic teams win regionals occasionally, but if they're not basketball athletic, they struggle after that at least.
Basketball acumen, basketball IQ. Again, back to a Hank Alvey, to a Wyatt Hendel. I've told those two boys, it's their intelligence on the floor that I need way more than their points. And again, fans, sports writers, they like to see the points. They like to brag that, this kid's averaging this or that. I'm telling you, as a coach, I want a guy that's smart and makes the right play no matter what he scores.
Did they forget to get the officials?
Oh, might have.
It looks like, hey, look at that.
Let's give them a hand.
I can't believe more people aren't clapping right now.
It's a long ways back there to their room in that hospitality room. It's like
it is quite a ways down that hallway, isn't it?
Yeah, it's practically St. Augustine. And remember, I'm a Western Illinois boy. I know where all the little towns are.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I know that the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament people were watching this shootout today to see teams, to kind of get some ideas on the top four seeding and who should play who. And
I wouldn't want to be on their committee.
There's a lot of good teams this year.
Pittsfield, ourselves, Rock Ridge, despite the loss.
Camp Point still undefeated.
Camp Point. Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. We will probably, if things go right, we'll play Camp Point right here in this gym in the sectional. That's probably about what's going to happen, in my opinion.
Anderson with a steal. Stiegel with the layup, and good.
And they're coming off state football championship. Wow.
Yeah, that's
athletes are athletes.
Tough life to live,
schools.
Isn't it?
Small schools, it's the same kids. There's some mix, but it's a lot of the same kids.
And those There's a 3 on the way, off no good. Rebound by Kellen Hook. Back the other way it
numbers.
goes.
4-on-1.
And it's going to be tipped out of bounds by Schwartz. You talk about athletes are athletes. In today's society, though, getting those athletes to work hard at multiple sports seems to be a hard thing to do.
Oh, yeah, because everybody thinks, I'm going to get a scholarship in this sport or that sport, so I have to specialize. I'm here to tell you, as a person that's had multiple D1 players, lots of D2, NAIAs, D3s, college coaches go ask one. We want a guy that plays football and basketball and baseball and track or golfs, because the skills you learn and the muscles you use helps you to be a better all-around player in whatever your chosen sport is. And too many kids and parents buy into that myth that I've got to play baseball year-round or I've got to play basketball year-round. I can't afford to do anything but golf, and we got to go on the golf vacation. And it's unfortunate because they're missing out on some important and fun times with their friends, and really probably are not really honing their skills as well as they could, in my opinion.
Well, and there's so many. There's a shot, not a good one, off no good by Redfern. It seemed I used to coach high school baseball for 4 years with Dave Arnold at Bushnell, and one of the things that I saw was you learn like footwork. There's a double dribble. Footwork, for example. Even though the footwork in football is not the same as basketball, or the footwork in golf is not the same as basketball.
It might be more important in football.
Right, but you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Footwork and ability to handle, so you talked about it numerous times, to handle contact and still keep your feet under you. There's so many things you can learn from different sports that you can bring to basketball.
We're a small school. Taylor Bruning is being recruited all over the country, and everybody wanted to know about him because they'd never really saw him play much. I said, he's the best pitcher on the team. He can throw 85, 90 mile an hour, and he doesn't walk people. He is the best golfer on our golf team. He has tremendous concentration and resolve, and he's a good basketball player, so he knows how to work and hustle, and that's why he's a good basketball player.
Schwartz with his 5th 3 of the game, first one since the first quarter.
Josh Vaughn tonight, he's a pitcher. He knows how to hit a spot, and he knows how to handle pressure. That's why he hit those threes tonight. That's why we know Josh has that ability.
And that's the thing is,
he didn't learn that in basketball. He learned it in baseball.
You can learn to handle pressure in whatever sport you're in, can't you?
Yes, and it's different in every sport. The concentration of golf, the endurance of golf, people don't realize. You got to walk and carry your clubs all over the place. All those things help our athletes be better athletes.
And keeping your mind right and being focused on something more than just on the weekends or whatever.
And not burning out.
Yeah, and not burning out is as much of a key as anything, isn't it?
Yeah, my teams have been very successful in my career. Nobody believes me. We do things in June. We never talk to them again until after the first 2 weeks of school. And they think I'm nuts. Well, okay, record speaks for itself.
Right.
Because I want them to be concentrating and focused in February. If I push them all summer, you know what? About January, mid-January, they're done.
A lot of kids.
We take time off. We go and go bowling, and we have parties and things with the kids. Get-togethers at coach's house or something. Things that are not basketball related, just to take a break.
Redfern kicks it out to Hook for 3. It's off, no good.
Giving away the secret sauce here, but it's true.
Well, you see so many of these kids that start at 8 or 7 or 6 now playing basketball, and they play basketball every weekend until they're freshmen, and then they quit because it's no fun anymore, and half of them realize that it's not. I'm not going to get out of it what I thought I was going to do by doing this, so then what's the point? And they all quit.
I'm not going to.
Charge called on Stiegel. Be his first foul, 3rd foul of the game, first of the quarter on the Tornadoes. It's 4:11 to go in quarter number 3. It's 32-27, and since that first quarter that was 20-19, the offense has disappeared.
Yep. Well, because the defense picked up. Defense wins championships. Defense wins big games. And you can't let people just stay hot like that the whole game.
Whoa, heads up in the bleachers. Good job for number 4, Lane Barker, just to keep that from hitting a fan over there. He had to go way up there. 4:04 to go here in the 3rd quarter. And, we've talked about a lot of stuff. I don't know if you want to say this or not. By the time you get on the air, you will know the answer. There's a 3 by Kellen Hook. He's got 10 points in the game. You talked about it being a tough decision for the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament. And you got teams like A-Town here that obviously can score some points. Maybe they're not at the top of the list or whatever, but they can shoot. And anytime you got a team that can shoot, it's possible trouble, right? Foul on number 24, Asa Stiegel, his second.
There's a reason the Western Holiday Tournament is one of the top in the state. Every team in there is capable of winning, and every team is capable of having great games. Even if they don't win it, they're capable of winning trophies. Been there myself a few times with a couple different schools. So, yeah, there's no slouches. There's no bad teams at Western Hall. You better come prepared to play every early morning or late night or in between.
Schwartz hits both, so he can hit the free throws and he can hit the threes. It's 35-29. A-Town with the lead. Okay, let's take you out of the mix. Illini Bluffs isn't at the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament. If you had to seed that tournament from what you've seen this year, who would you put in your top 4?
Well, I've played some of these teams, whether during the season or in the summer. Pittsfield.
Stiegel with the bucket.
Rock Ridge. Starts to get a little tougher after that. Macomb is certainly a solid program, plus they're kind of the hometown, favorite, if you want to call it that. West Hancock's playing good basketball. I mean,
Brody Deeker hits the three.
We're starting to heat up here again. Nope. Get back, boys.
And the basket is good. It is good for Anderson. And it's going to be a bucket and a foul on Jordan Martin. It'll be his first, team's first of the quarter. He'll take a seat. Coming in is going to be Lane Barker. And Anderson will be at the free throw line to complete the old-fashioned three-point play, the only time that you can shoot one free throw in high school basketball now. And it's 39-32. And a free throw is no good. Rebounded to the Indians back the other way.
To finish my answer, folks in Golden and Camp Point and Clayton, I haven't forgotten you. I think they're the best team over there, in my opinion. At this point in juncture in the season, we'll see, but they're pretty tough.
Oh, what a backdoor cut without the basketball. Schwartz gets another basket. That's his first non-3-point basket besides free throws, and it's 39-34. And I think is that on Stiegel? It is on Stiegel, his third. Man, he's got 3 fouls. They've only got 5 fouls the whole game, and 3 of them are on Stiegel. That's third foul of the half here in the third quarter, 2:32 to go. And it's going to be Indians basketball as Redfern takes a seat. Stiegel goes out as well. Into the game is going to be number 13, Drew Fouch again. Also out there is Jacob Hall, number 14. Kellen Hook is out there. Dre Anderson is there. And Schwartz has it knocked away, and they're going to call a double dribble as it was knocked away by Weston Marler. And with 2:19 to go, A-Town gets the ball back on a couple of turnovers and kind of getting a little sloppy there for a minute. Anderson will take it back up. Coach, I don't have to keep you anymore. I appreciate you hanging out here and talking about the tournament and talking about some basketball theory and stuff like that.
Need to get these guys home. Like I said, we were up and down at the American Legion at 6:30 this morning packing food boxes for needy folks of Peoria County, and something that we do every year, and we're proud of it. I'm proud of the kids to get up and do that after a tough game last night and anticipating a tough game tonight. So I do need to get them home and get them rested up, and we've got a big game Tuesday night, Peoria Heights.
Well, thank you, Coach, and we'll talk to you again next week, or actually tomorrow night.
Yep, I'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Coach Vass. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Coach Vass talking to us there. I know we talked quite a while, talked about a lot of different things, talked about a little basketball and what's going on here. The defense, as Coach Vass has mentioned, it's gotten a lot better here in this one as the offense has slowed down a bunch. Hard to believe it was 20-19 after the first quarter, and now it's just 39-34, and we're nearly at the end of the third quarter. 1:13 to go, and it's a 5-point game still. It's still close, but the scoring just hasn't been there like it was. Schwartz has 19 for the Indians. There's a couple players with 10 for, 3 players with 10 for the Tornadoes. There's a foul on Abington Avon. A foul was on the floor. Charge to number 3, Kellen Hook. It'll be his first. Team's fourth. 58.2 seconds left. That means the Indians will be in the bonus the rest of the way here if there's another foul. Hall gets the steal. If he can dunk, he's got an opportunity. He puts the layup up and in instead. Jacob Hall gets his first 2. So it's 41-34, 7-point lead. That's about as big as the lead has gotten for either team here today. It's just not been a chance for either team to really blow things up. And the funny thing is, if you shoot 6 threes in a quarter, you expect to have a pretty good lead. Problem is A-Town had 3 threes and some free throws in the first quarter that kept them right in the game. Kellen Hook's going to pick up his second foul. Bonus coming. Couple free throws coming. Wyatt Neeson's going to have free throws coming here. Full timeout charge to A-Town. We'll take a break and be back right after this on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH.
At Western Illinois University, Leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there's limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a Leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
And welcome back here to Abington Avon High School as Tornadoes lead by 7 over Payson-Seymour, 41-34. 28.6 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Blake Schwartz, number 23. For the Indians, has 5 threes and 2 free throws. He's got 19 points to lead all scorers. A couple free throws coming here for Wyatt Neeson. First one is good. 41-35. 12 points for Dre Anderson, 10 points for Kellen Hook, 8 points for Carter Redfern, and 10 points for Asa Stiegel. Both of them are good for Neeson. Lucas Davenport into game number 3. Kellen Hook had a good idea. Hall was open down there and lofted it up a little too high. Hall couldn't go up and grab it out of bounds with 15.6 seconds left. Chance to make it a one-possession game here at the end of the third quarter for Payson-Seymour. Length of the floor, 10 seconds remaining. 3 on the way. It's off to the left, no good. Hall with the rebound. He's going to outlet it. Marler gets called for the travel. He just slipped a little when he tried to go up. 1.6 seconds left. One last shot attempt in the third quarter coming here for Payson-Seymour. Schwartz turns and heaves. It's off, no good, and that's how third quarter comes to an end. 41-36 the score. The A-Town Tornadoes lead the Payson-Seymour Indians. We'll take another break and be back in just a minute here on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH.
Working at MDH feels special to me because I'm also from a small community like MDH, and I love to be able to care for communities like this and be able to give them high standards of excellence with medical care as possible. You know, some people like to take more of a medical approach to their care. Some people like to take more of a holistic. And I just want to be able to make their plan of care as individualized as possible.
And welcome back here as we get ready for the fourth quarter here at Abington Avon High School. Great Western Shootout. It is the fourth quarter, 41-36 the score. A-Town leads Payson-Seymour. Payson-Seymour is 4 for 4 from the free throw line. As the ball is down, there's a hold back there. Schwartz actually loosely had a hold of Anderson, and they're going to turn it over, and they're going to turn it over again. This one's getting a little crazy. Stiegel's going to lose that one out of bounds. It's going to go back to Payson-Seymour with 7:43 to go in the fourth quarter, and craziness on its way here in the fourth quarter of this one. One more game to go. It's the girls' game of the day. Macomb travels back for the girls this time to play the A-Town Tornadoes in the nightcap here tonight. With trouble again, double team coming. Stiegel out there and steal by Dre Anderson, 7:20, and A-Town has the basketball and the lead. Jacob Hall with it now. Stiegel puts the shot up. It's off, no good. Ball on the floor, picked up by Barker, and go back the other way. 7 minutes remaining. Near side it comes. Barker for three. Got it. Lane Barker gets his 8th point. It's a 2-point game. 41-39. Hook gets trapped in the backcourt. Timeout. Charge to A-Town. It's a 30-second timeout. Their second timeout. They'll have 3 timeouts remaining. 4 timeouts remaining for Payson-Seymour. So we look through the scoring here. 19 points for Blake Schwartz. For Payson-Seymour, he's leading all scorers, but A-Town has 3 scorers in double figures, and Carter Redfern is 1 basket away from being there as well. A-Town is 3 for 5 from the free throw line in the game thus far. They've scored 19, 9, and 14 in each quarter, in the 3 quarters. It's been 24 and 12 for the foul charge to Payson-Seymour, number 24, Nolan Sparks, his first, team's first of the quarter. So we're over a minute and a half in. A-Town is not fouled here in the fourth quarter. Redfern gives it to Hall. Down low to Redfern. Redfern turnaround. Up off no good. Rebound to Deeker. Back the other way it goes for Payson-Seymour. They back it out. Down by 2. It was a 5-point game. 41-36 at the break. 2 on the way. Off no good for Barker, who just hit the 3 to cut it to 2. Jacob Hall has it, picks it up, goes down to Stiegel. Stiegel pumps, drives, loses it, foul called. I believe that's going to be on Schwartz. We'll wait and see for sure, though. It's going to be on the Indians either way. It is on Blake Schwartz. It'll be his first, team's second of the quarter. Coming back in is Nicholas Boone, number 44. Stiegel with it. Redfern now. It's kicked by Schwartz. He'll stay with A-Town. 5:36 remaining in the basketball game. Timeout going to be called by Payson-Seymour. It's going to be a full timeout. They'll have 3 timeouts remaining. I was wondering why I didn't put that foul on earlier, hit the timeouts instead. We'll take a break. We'll be back on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH, right after this.
At Western Illinois University, leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there's limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
Welcome back. 5:36 remaining in this one. The Tornadoes clinging to a 2-point lead, 41-39. And the Great Western Shootout over Payson-Seymour, as the Indians have tried to claw their way back. The Tornadoes have won every quarter except the first one. They lost the first quarter 20-19. They won the second quarter 9-5, and the third quarter 14-12. But they've lost quarter number 4, 3-0 to this point, as the offense was so explosive for both teams in the first quarter, and it has slowed down immensely here in quarters 2, 3, and now 4. Kellen Hook with it, gives it back to Stiegel. Stiegel tries to drive on Boone, dumps it back out to Hook. Kellen Hook, 3, right side, off no good. Tipped around, picked up by Boone. He goes across to Deeker and back the other way for Payson-Seymour. Another chance to tie the game or take the lead. Under 5 minutes to play now, 4:55 remaining. 2 fouls so far for Payson-Seymour, 0 for A-Town. Stiegel, the only one in foul trouble with 3. Schwartz drives the lane, misses the shot. Boone with the rebound. It goes through a bunch of players, picked up by the Indians, and Schwartz kind of forces a 3. Stiegel now gets it down the other way. Layup off, no good. Jump ball, rebounded by Boone, and neither team getting the ball to go through the hoop here in quarter number 4 very effectively. 1-3 thus far is for the Indians. Reverse layup off, no good. Jacob Hall with the rebound. Gets it out to Hook. Under 4 minutes to go. Anderson down to Redfern, back to Jacob Hall. He's going to spin in, puts the shot up, and good for Jacob Hall. First bucket of the quarter for the Tornadoes, and it comes off the hand of Jacob Hall with 3:40 to go. It's back to a 4-point game for the Tornadoes. Schwartz dumps it off to Neeson. Neeson now gives it back to Schwartz. Schwartz finds his way into the hoop, and he's going to be fouled. That may be on Stiegel again. It is on Stiegel, his 4th. Asa Stiegel's got his 4th foul, first of the quarter on the Tornadoes. Schwartz, free throw. It's 2 for 2, making 3 for 3. The Indians back to within 1 basket. Trying to make it a 2-point game here. And Schwartz does. He's a perfect 4 for 4 from the free throw line. He takes a seat. Barker comes back in for him. It's 43-41 with 3:30 remaining in the basketball game. Kellen Hook on the dribble. Comes to Dre Anderson as we approach the 3-minute mark. A-Town up by 2. A 2-3 zone now from the Indians. No shot clock in this shootout, so there's no hurry at all for the A-Town Tornadoes. And now out comes, it looks like they switched to a 1-2-2, and out comes Barker. Coming out to force the issue. Kellen Hook with it. Anderson now. Goes into Stiegel, gives it to Hall. Layup is good for Jacob Hall. Great pass from Stiegel. The play worked perfectly for the Tornadoes. A three on the way by Deeker off no good. Boone with the rebound. He's going to try to get it out. It's taken away by Hook. He's going to come across to Anderson with 2:24 remaining, and a foul is going to be called on Lane Barker. It'll be his first, team's third, and you wonder why he calls a foul there. It's 2:23 to go, down by 4 points. You have to get 2 fouls just to make them shoot free throws, and they still need to give one. They have one to give before free throws become a thing, too. Well, they need to stop the clock and get free throw attempts possibly, as there's a give and go. Hook, Hall skips it across. Anderson back to Stiegel. Stiegel drives. He's going to be harassed down there, and a foul is going to be called. Barker, I believe, is going to pick that one up too. It might be Deeker, but I believe it's going to be Barker. It is. Lane Barker picking up his second. Team foul number 4. That means the Tornadoes will be shooting bonus the rest of the way. Into Redfern. He wants the double figures, and he's got it. Carter Redfern is up to 10 points. 4 players in double figures for A-Town now. 2:09. 3 on the way. Long. Hit the backboard, and then it's going to be outletted to Stiegel. Stiegel's got a chance to get down the floor. It's going to be blocked, but there for the putback is Trey Anderson. Trey Anderson gets the bucket. He's got 14 now. And just like that, it's an 8-point game. And this is kind of the way these games have went today. They were close in the fourth quarter, and then at the end, they just kind of ballooned up to an 8 or 10-point game, even though they were really closer than that. Deeker, Schwartz for 3. It's off no good. Stiegel with the rebound. Swiped away. It's going to go off of Stiegel out of bounds as Wyatt Neeson was there to knock it away. Timeout on the floor, charge to the Indian. It's going to be a 30-second timeout. We'll take one as well, and we'll be back right after this on TSSR Game Time Live, presented by MDH.
I chose physical therapy because I knew I wanted to be in the healthcare field. I wanted to be able to help patients in some way related to more in depth. We get to know our patients, and that's really what kind of sets us apart.
And welcome back. 30-second timeout. Took a 15-second break there. 1:34 remaining in this one. 49-41. The Tornadoes lead the Payson-Seymour Indians. And if you'd have said after the first quarter this was going to be a 49-41 game with 1:34 to go, I'd have called you crazy. There were 6 threes hit by Payson-Seymour in the first quarter. There's a 3 off, no good by Schwartz, who hit most of those threes early. Jacob Hall has it. He's going to push it up the other way, and he's going to wisely back it out. Going to call a foul on Wyatt Neeson. It'll be his second. Team's 5th. That means that Jacob Hall will be shooting 2 free throws. He's got 6 points, 4 here in the fourth quarter. He's got a couple free throws coming with 1:22 remaining. Payson-Seymour has not been able to score here in the fourth quarter very easily. Their shots have not fallen. That has been a large part of what it hasn't, that they haven't had shots. They just can't get them to go in the bucket. Free throw is good by Jacob Hall. It's up to a 9-point game now, 50-41. Second one is short, and it's going to be Neeson with the rebound. 3 on the way by Barker. Off the back iron, no good. Rebound by Deeker. He's going to get it out to Neeson. Neeson's going to spin into traffic, then Hall's going to get the steal. He's going to push it back the other way, and he's going to back it back out again. He's going to have it knocked away. It looked like he might have gotten fouled. No foul call, though. 55 seconds remain here. Still a 9-point game. And they're going to call a foul. Foul's going to be on number 21, Weston Marler, his first. Team's second. 50 seconds remain. And a travel called on Schwartz. Ball will go back to A-Town. And that might be enough to ice this one as Marler comes out. Redfern comes back in with 49.5 seconds remaining. A-Town going to get a likely here. Not over yet, but likely A-Town's going to get out of here with a win, and a foul is going to be called on Drew Schwartz. That's going to be, or Blake Schwartz, excuse me. It's his second. And a couple free throws coming for Dre Anderson. Now the real question will be in this one, if A-Town holds on, is who do you make your MVP of this game? What do they call him? They call an intentional foul on Blake Schwartz. You don't see that called very often in a game like this. So Anderson's going to get 2 free throws, and A-Town will get the ball back. First one, good. Anderson has 15 points now to lead A-Town. Schwartz still the game high, 19. Make it 16 points for Dre Anderson. 52-41. And again, this has kind of been typical of today's games. We've had some close games, and Redfern going to pass it to Hook, and Hook's going to be fouled by Deeker. Brody Deeker picks up the foul, his second. Now Kellen Hook's going to go to the free throw line with 43 seconds exactly on the clock to shoot a couple free throws. Kellen Hook has 10 points in the game. First one from Hook. Man, I thought that was going in. It bounced softly off the front end, hit the back iron, and bounced harder off the back iron than it did the front iron. Coming in is number 13, Drew Fouch, for the Tornadoes. Also number 21, Marler. Second one is good by Hook. He's got 11. Schwartz, 3. Good. He's actually got 24 points now. Timeout on the floor, charged to the Indians. It's a 30-second timeout. They'll have 1 timeout remaining. 3 timeouts remaining for the Tornadoes. It's a 53-44 game. 33.1 seconds left. 24 points to lead all scorers for Blake Schwartz. 15 points for Dre Anderson. 11 points for Kellen Hook. 7 points for Jacob Hall. 10 points for Carter Redfern and 10 points for Asa Stiegel. Stiegel has 4 fouls. He is not out there at the moment. Inbounded to Redfern. He's going to get it across to Fouch, who gives it to Hall. Hall's layup is in. He's got 9. Jacob Hall is up to 9 points now. He's got 7 here in the fourth quarter. 15 seconds left, excuse me. Schwartz is going to loft up another one. It's off the front iron, no good. Jacob Hall says, give me the ball. I want double figures. If he'd have made his free throw, he would have had double figures. That's how it's going to end, though. 55-44, the final. A-Town gets the win over Payson-Seymour. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back here on TSSR Game Time Live with some stats right after this.
It was the community that really drew me back to Macomb. I'm from a small community, and I'm from a farm family, and ultimately I always wanted to practice in a place like that, and I felt that I had the ability to connect to people who with a similar background from me, and the fact that the staff members at the hospital and the support, all the support staff at the hospital was also focused with the goal of patient care. It felt like it just all came hammered at home for me.
At Western Illinois University, Leathernecks don't just blend in. Our purple stands out. Our students are innovative, creative, and resilient. At WIU, there's limitless potential, with campuses in Macomb, the Quad Cities, and online. Visit wiu.edu/potential to become a Leatherneck and get an education that stands out.
MTC Communications is building a high-speed fiber network in our community, and we're putting priority on the areas with the greatest interest. That means we need your input to let us know you want us to build fiber in your area first. Experience the speed and convenience of fiber internet by visiting our special website and registering. Let us know you want fiber internet today and make your voice heard.
Welcome back here as we want to say hi to everyone at the Sports Corner, getting ready for the Macomb High Bombers, an A-Town girls basketball game. That'll come up next in the next stream. Right now we got the final score, 55-44. A-Town gets the win over the Payson-Seymour Indians. Leading scorer and MVP of the game for A-Town is Dre Anderson. He had 16 points. I had him for 16. They had him for 15 on the board. I'm going to give him 16. I'm going to say he was 3 for 3. I might have messed that up, but I'm going to make him 3 for 3 anyway. They were 7 of 11 from the free throw line was A-Town. Kellen Hook had 11 points. Carter Redfern had 10 points. Asa Stiegel had 10 points. And Jacob Hall had 9 points and was 1 of 2 from the free throw line. So if he'd have made that one, he'd have had 10. That would have been 5 players in double figures. Pretty good way to win a basketball game right there, I would imagine. If you are, well, 55, it must have been 2 for 3 from a free throw line. I missed one somewhere there, because my points add up to 55 if you give him 5. So I apologize, folks. Make him 2 for 3. That makes him 6 for 11 from the charity stripe. That's all the scoring for A-Town. For Payson-Seymour, 24, a game high for Blake Schwartz. He had 6 3-pointers. He was 4 of 4 from the free throw line, had 1 2-pointer, and finished with 24 points. 8 points for Lane Barker, who had 2 3-pointers as well. 5 points for Brody Deeker. He had a 1 3-pointer. And Nolan Sparks had a 3-pointer to finish with 3 points. 2 points for Wyatt Neeson, who was 2 of 2 from the free throw line. They finished 6 of 6 from the charity stripe, did the Payson-Seymour Indians. So they made as many free throws as A-Town, but not able to get a win here. 55-44 the final. Macomb girls and A-Town girls up next to end the day. Game number 8 of the Great Western Shootout is up next. Hang out with us. We'll see you again very soon in our next game stream.